Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Maqbool with you at Pitafi World. In today's show, we're going to be taking a look at two important stories. The first is with reference to a very important summit that is being held in Pakistan next week. That is, of course, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, which Pakistan is hosting. It will be the 23rd meeting of the SCO. And of course, the heads of the delegations of the member states will be in Pakistan to participate in this very, very important summit. And so we're going to be taking a look at what this means, particularly for Pakistan at this stage. And then, of course, in terms of this platform as a whole as well, in order to making sure that the conflicts and issues that are to be discussed and that are part of the member states and their political realities do in fact come on the negotiating table, and whether or not the sidelines of the SCO Summit can provide avenues for the countries to discuss such political issues, which of course it has done in the past, particularly with reference to Central Asian states. And so we're going to be taking a look at exactly what that will mean then for Pakistan and the kind of issues, of course, that Pakistan holds, and how regional connectivity, trade and investment, and of course border issues can be resolved as part of the SCO Summit. We're of course also going to be taking a look at the very important issues surrounding Pakistan's involvement with India and of course other member states as well, and whether or not that will be an important stake in this conversation, and how exactly do we look forward to that as part of the summit. So that's going to be our focus in the first segment of the show today. Our next one is going to be taking a look at the very important Saudi delegation that is on its visit to Pakistan, headed by their Minister of Investment. And this is important, particularly in terms of the fact that Pakistan, of course, has secured the extended fund facility by the IMF, which then, of course, has led to even more avenues of bilateral and multilateral cooperation for the country. In this respect, of course, Saudi Arabia has been a key partner previously as well, and even now is expected to contribute in large terms, with the Prime Minister also stating that MOUs and agreements worth $2 billion are expected to be signed as part of this visit, which of course includes interactions with the business community, with the business forum, and of course his counterparts in various different fields. So we're going to be taking a look at what this particular visit can actually bring to the country, both in terms of direct trade and investment, but also in terms of business facilitation as a whole, and opening up Pakistan to Saudi Arabia and beyond. That is going to be our focus in the segments today. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst Farrukh Pitafi and Raja Faisal, and we've also been joined online by former Ambassador Mr. Baluch. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being part of the discussion. And Ambassador Saab, I'm going to start with you first of all in terms of the very importance of this particular summit. Of course, this is really integral to Pakistan and hosting such an important summit, and of course making sure that all the member states are welcome here and that they're able to discuss and execute the kind of issues that the states represent or the states face, in order to making sure that the platform is encouraging and brings forward a very productive discussion. But what does that mean when we talk about Pakistan as a whole, and the fact that this is something that is integral to discussing issues within the region? How do you look at the significance that this platform offers, particularly to Pakistan, in order to resolve those issues? Ambassador Saab, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you. I think it is a very significant diplomatic, I would say, achievement for Pakistan, that after several years, we are able to host one of the most important head of government level meeting of SCO. I mean, it has several strategic, diplomatic, political, and in fact economic aspects to our hosting of this SCO Summit. First of all, let's start with the strategic, because Pakistan kind of was some unfortunately forces in the region were trying to push Pakistan what they describe as diplomatic isolation. So I think that thesis has been completely into that Pakistan we have seen several high-level meetings in Pakistan, and of course the hosting of this summit by such important for such important delegates, that too on an important forum like SCO, which is actually the future of the world, because I believe that we are living in a multipolar world, and the world is going to be really regionalized that way. whether it is political, diplomatic or economic activity, globally speaking. So SCU, as we all have been discussing in the past as well, that it really covers 40% of the population of the world, 30% of the GDP of the world. Uh, Oil and gas, I think, is on the top because Russia, Iran. So I think, and also, as we know that this SCO is being led by China, but China and is the emerging global power. But interesting thing about China's leading this SCO is that we do not see that overloading as we have seen in some of the regional and international forums where some of the classical old uh, farmer colonial powers have been leading. So he's like we've seen that China has been leading with co-opting the other members, cooperation, and kind of there's a equality of all the members. So that's actually, and it's kind of completely SCO is being organized, whether it is economic collaboration, whether it is connectivity, whether it is climate change. I think there's several areas in which I think I was counting the other day, about 22 plus areas have been identified for cooperation under the SCO. But interesting thing is that the linchpin of all of this philosophy is the Chinese philosophy of win-win. There is no loser at all in this entire scheme of SCO, whether it is a climate change, whether it is a connectivity, CPAC, but it covers the entire gamut of the development agenda that we should assume. And it takes into account the contribution of each country. It tries to kind of synthesize the positions of the country, and also as we know that it really has in its membership diverse countries. We have Russia, we have China, we have India, we have Pakistan, we have Iran and Central Asian states, and of course we have several observer status and other members who are part of this summit. So I think it's a great honor for Pakistan. It's a great success for Pakistan to be hosting this very important, and I'm very, very, very confident that this will go forward the way we have thought and we have been visualizing, and in fact the way, especially the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I could see in the report the way they were preparing for it, the entire agenda that has been prepared, despite all the setbacks that we saw here internally. But I'm pretty sure that this will go very well. And of course, as we know, the Prime Minister of China is arriving a day before to have bilateral relations, and then he will join the SCO. So I think it's kind of a high point of our diplomatic activity in the region and globally as well. Yes, Farah.
Absolutely, I understand that. But Ambassador Saab, among, of course, the many avenues that you mentioned and the 22 areas of collaboration, it's very important to take a look at issues of conflict as well. And we've seen historically that SCO has been important and integral in terms of resolving border issues, especially with regards to the Central Asian states. And so I want your understanding whether or not any of that can also be true for Pakistan. We understand that the Foreign Minister of India is also going to be participating in the summit, but he also has made very clear that this is a multilateral event that he is coming to attend, and that he will not be engaging with Pakistan on the sidelines for any bilateral conversations. And so whether or not the possibility of the SCO being a platform to actually allow that to happen, do you think that's there?
What happens is, Sana, that we have to understand the complexities and the purposes of these summits. They are meant to give us a platform for communication, for collaboration. So for the time being, of course, in the text of SCO objective is that no bilateral dispute or issues will be discussed. That's correct. But despite that, when all of these summits they take place, and I'm sure we all are kind of rational actors, whether it is the Indian Foreign Minister or any other Foreign Minister who comes and takes part in these summits. In fact, some of the statements that one has read from Mr. Jaishankar, who's a very, very seasoned diplomat, and I think Pakistan is known for its courtesy. Pakistan is known for its hospitality. And we know our tradition that if somebody comes on our soil in our country, we are all graces, and we will definitely extend those graces to all those who are our guests. And I'm pretty sure, and he has said it, that if I go there, I will probably try to keep myself those reciprocate those graces, and I'm sure he would. So I don't see any bilateral dispute or issue really cropping up, and even discussing them will be too far fetched. But I'm hopeful that rather than getting into the contentious issues of Pakistan India historical dynamics, I think that we should broaden the dialogue to see how SCO as a Euro-Asian uh, geostrategic space can become a integrated strategic, geostrategic and geoeconomic space, globally speaking. And this is where I think, and each one of the actors in SCO will then probably have more leverage globally, whether, and most importantly, in my view, if SEO really becomes proactive in climate change, I think we could bring those countries who have really done so much of damage to the industrialized world to the climate, for which we have to pay today. We have no role at all. So I think SEO could be a very, very important. And the other very good initiative, which I think basically augurs well for the 21st century, is the digital Silk Road, which has been proposed by China. Amazing initiative of connectivity through the digital economy, digital financing, digital businesses. So I think future, as we all know, really rests with the digitization of our entire governance system, whether it is national governance systems or global governance systems. So I think it'd be a great idea to build on that. And the other very important, which actually I feel it's very important, is the concept of business councils, where the private sector will come. So we have been always, there is a consensus that it is the private sector which has to lead the businesses. So I think there is a concept of business council. I hope that some of the private sector actors from these member countries do come in and they start to interact with Pakistani businessmen, and we can also tap their of collaboration and cooperation, which could supplement then all the official channels through which the collaboration and cooperation is being sought. Yes, Pana.
Ambassador Baluch, I'm glad that you have highlighted, of course, the kind of stance we have been, of course, seeing from the Indian side. I remember the previous SCO, the kind of hosting they had. They have been, taking it to the bilateral level because the kind of statements they uttered against Pakistan during that podium they had for the SCO, they have been, of course, simply the statements were being uttered against Pakistan at that time, and they were being very unhostly last time around. This time around, of course, it is in Pakistan, and we are going to make sure that all of the guests, they are well kept in Pakistan and they are well addressed as well. But looking at the kind of the spoiling kind of agenda they always come up with, this time around it is being expected that rather than strengthening CPAC and considering CPAC as being one of the pivotal connectivity kind of route for not only for Pakistan and China, but of course it can be benefited by the other SCO states as well when it comes to connecting CPAC with Russia through Central Asian republics and Afghanistan, all of them being part of SCO. Only Afghanistan is the one that is of course at an observer level. Rather the rest of them, they are the full members of SCO. So in this context, of course, we are getting vibes that they might be on the stage offering another kind of alternate route, and that could be that they want the world to know that they are working on the connectivity routes as well, using Chabahar. Iran is not, of course, member of it, and that can be connected with the Central Asian republics through Afghanistan. They had this agenda since a long time. They are working on it, and they have another agenda to, of course, connect Chabahar with Israel and ending up to Europe. Do you think that this would be the time when Pakistan and rest of the countries would be, of course, talking on connecting Central Asian republics and Russia with Pakistan, and if India wants, that can be connected to India as well. But rather than that, they will be highlighting this.
I think they have to prioritize, and each person has its own perspective, and each country has its own perspective how to prioritize. As I said it in my view, that is how the priority should go. That climate change is something which is really affecting each one of us, and especially Pakistan, what we saw in 2022. So for us, the agenda should have climate change as the top agenda. And you know what? That I should tell you that when you're hosting, you have kind of leverage that you can inject kind of your priorities, of course, in collaboration with the other members. But since you are the host and you are actually handling all the documents, so you have more leverage to what you want to bring in on the top. So perhaps it will not be India which will have the leverage that way, unless somebody is already thinking of to play a spoilers game, which I don't think so. I think they should have. I expect that kind of maturity, that if they are attending this kind of a summit at the level of the foreign minister, which is very, very important. So I think they would like to. Obviously, they have their own agenda to not to leave this summit or this important regional activity void for two rivals, that is China and Pakistan. So that is there, that they want to be present. They want to have their perspective heard and injected into resolutions or declarations, whatever are at the end of the summit. But definitely, I think I would like to rather be more optimistic. I like to be more positive, and I think that is how we should approach, even as analysts, despite all our lot of lingering doubts, or some doubts which are because of some old biases, both the sides. But I'm pretty optimistic that this will be a great breakthrough. SCO will re-emerge and redefine its role, and I'm pretty sure that from there on, it will be a really new benchmark for SCO.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And Farrukh, I want your perspective on that as well, whether or not this can possibly be as groundbreaking as we're hoping it to be. I understand, of course, it is a very important aspect that Pakistan hosting this, and it's very integral to us that these member states are coming here and participating. But at the same time, also keeping in mind what the platform has achieved over the years and what it in itself also carries forward. Do you really think that there is a possibility of actually coming up with something new and fundamental or groundbreaking in the sense that is really required for these member states for cooperation, even if it is on a more global or multilateral stage? Can we actually do that without overcoming our bilateral issues?
Right, Sana, thank you very much for the question. I think that Ambassador Saab has done a great job already of explaining the importance of SCO. The only thing that I want to actually highlight is the title itself. Name suggests it was born in Shanghai, and it is an organization that works on regional cooperation. Right? Cooperation is important because all these countries, India, China, Russia, Central Asian republics, Pakistan also, and Iran, they all suffer from some major. I would rather say that India is just keeps on using the bogey, but the rest are seriously facing challenges of terrorism. And this is numero uno, one of the most important aspects of this cooperation, combating terrorism. Right? Amazingly, we all are factories of terrorism. And one country that is sort of has been epicenter of terrorism is Afghanistan, and that doesn't have a voice. Everybody surrounding it is a part of this. That is one aspect that I thought that is quite intriguing, and perhaps some solution can be found to address Afghanistan and how it behaves. regarding terrorism. Of course, Russia has its own dialogue. China has its own dialogue with Afghanistan. Now, Ambassador Saab was right about climate change and then economic cooperation. These are very important things because most of these countries are up and coming. China, if we know, is industrial powerhouse of the world. India is also trying to imitate that. Russia has proven recently in the past 2 years that despite so many sanctions, its economy is not going to cave in, and it has something very inherent to it that keeps on affording it the kind of economic growth that is there. Pakistan is also trying to stabilize, and Pakistan is the country that is hosting. Pakistan is the country that really needs an injection in the arm as well. So cooperation with all these countries is important. Regarding bilateral issues, I assume that when you talk about bilateral concerns, you are talking mainly about India and Pakistan, because everywhere else there has been some kind of mechanism. The biggest problem with India is the Indian psyche. And usually I am the diplomatic one who tries to level up everything and try to use polite words. But I am honestly, even if Indian foreign minister doesn't come, he is a very combative man, right? And we know that he has become a source of so many negativity because this is why he was hired.
Yeah.
So even if he doesn't come and a level-headed
Do you think there's a possibility he won't?
No, I don't think so, but secretly I was rooting for that possibility.
Why?
That rather than that, I will tell you,
Okay.
rather than him coming, some level-headed bureaucrat would come, because in any case, he is just going to contribute to more hatred and anger, nothing else. But regarding overall situation, I think whatever Pakistan and India's own issues, usually platforms like SCO provide a broader canvas and you can still work together. The amazing thing, Sana, is that out of the list of countries that are most affected by climate change, on 8th number, there are 2 countries, not one. One is India, the other is Pakistan. Our climate issues are totally intertwined, but amazingly, we don't seem to work together. In coming days, in a few years, I think, certain cities in India and certain parts of Pakistan will become unlivable because of high temperatures, and yet there isn't any cooperation. So that is the state of affairs, and you said why. I think this is why. Regarding overall situation, I think SCO has achieved a lot. I interviewed, if you remember, its Secretary General 2 years ago, and there I actually brought up the issue of bilaterals versus actually multilateral. And he pointed out that while the focus is on multilateral issues, on the sidelines there is no prohibition that countries can sort out their concerns as well. But then I am reminded of the way Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, when he was foreign minister, he was treated, the way the media, I don't understand this inferiority, superiority complex of India. The fixation with Pakistan, that when somebody goes there, their most liberal and moderate anchors also try to prove that they are jingoistic, nationalists. And watch those interviews that Bilawal Bhutto Zardari gave. It is amazing.
Yeah.
The person wouldn't let him finish his sentence, right? That kind of animus, I don't know what caused this. I don't know whether it is Kashmir, whether it is some kind of racial hatred towards Pakistanis, but it is there. And you can't actually take care of it. If you want to know how much they hate you, just look at what they have done to themselves just to spite you. With that kind of a situation, I have no hope. And I'm not kidding that there is going to be any breakthrough. If there is some breakthrough, I will be very happy. I will be the happiest man in this part of the world. But I don't think that is going to happen. So let us stick to the realistic things. Some of our greatest benefactors and others are coming, Chinese are coming, Russians are coming. Central Asians are coming, Iranians are coming.
Yeah.
Let us celebrate and let us find a way to work together, even if India is there only to tell the world that, okay, I'm just a listening post and I'm just going to spy on you and I'm going to go and share with others what the plans might be.
Right. Ambassador Saab, of course, as Farrukh said, there's a lot of dimensions to the SCO, and there are a lot of other countries that we can also focus on. And I want your take, particularly when we talk about the collective regional issues, especially when it comes to trade and investment or climate change, as you mentioned earlier. What sort of aspects do you see possible as part of this entire region taking a larger role or a more important role than perhaps on an international arena? Because it's important, of course, also to utilize and to understand the capacities and capabilities of countries within this region as well that can help each other. But are we even looking at ways in order to enhance this connectivity while we, of course, have our engagements respectively with different member states? What sort of collaborative response can be there for issues that we face, one in terms of the economic terms, but also in terms of security concerns, in terms of issues such as terrorism, that is of course very, very important, such as issues of Islamophobia or others that are also important to a lot of the member states as well. So I want your take in terms of whether there can be collaboration to some of the pressing issues that are important to Pakistan and that might be also taken up as part of the regional entity.
Yeah, definitely. There are always issues which particularly pertain to the region. You brought in Islamophobia, just a little, very, very brief kind of clarification. That probably would not be probably appropriate for us to raise that issue at this forum. There are several other forums in which we can always discuss. Because then you have different kind of audience for it. But nonetheless, if we want to make a point that how Islamophobia is being used as a propaganda tool by anti-Muslim forces in the world, we could probably make it. But I think rather Pakistan should approach SCO Summit from, as again I'll say, from the positive point of view. Let's see what are the strengths. Of course, we should keep in mind our weaknesses as a region. We know that we are developing countries in this SCO, except for China, which is the leader of SCO, as was mentioned also, that it was initiated in Shanghai essentially as a security collaboration and cooperation. So I think security will always remain there. Since terrorism has been making comeback again and again since 9/11 in this part of the world. So I think it will be important for Pakistan also to seek collaboration and a collective regional approach to terrorism, which is kind of being perpetuated from Afghanistan soil onto Pakistan, and which has the potential to really become a global phenomenon. So perhaps, and regional phenomena first, and then go on to global. So I think they would be concerned, and there will be a common ground where you would probably like to get your collaboration from these members. But then you have a problem in the sense that if terrorism is discussed and a regional approach is discussed, I don't know what India would say, because India has always been accusing Pakistan and kind of blaming and in fact wrongly labeling the legitimate right of self-determination of the Kashmiris and our diplomatic support to the Kashmiri struggle as kind of support to their whatever militant efforts are. So I think we have to be very, very careful. So I think I'm pretty sure that our seasoned diplomats who are handling in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they know exactly how to walk this very fine line. But I think we should push an agenda for connectivity. We should push agenda for collaboration, digital, as I said earlier, in the digital connectivity. Because Pakistan has a amazingly, like, we could be the global transit trade point. Our people would have not known Dubai if we had woken up in time. If Gwadar, imagine if Gwadar was there as one of the unique ports, because no other port in this region and is that it can take such huge ships as the Gwadar can. So imagine if it was in 60s, 70s, where will be Dubai? Dubai would be in Gwadar. So, and still it's not too late, as they say. So I think we should concentrate on developing the potential of Pakistan's location as a regional hub for transit trade, for transit of the energy. And so I think, and shipping, and I think this is where I think our energies are to be kind of diverted. This is where we should seek collaboration and cooperation. And I'm sure China and Pakistan do work very closely, and they seem to be on one page as far as this development agenda of the region is concerned. So I think for us, let it be an obsession with development. Even if somebody wants to talk negative, we say forget about it. We'll talk about it later. Let's see how can we pull these millions of people out of poverty. The other thing, you know what? South Asia is again a big bulge which has the youth bulge. So we have to take care of those. 60% of our youth is the youth population of Pakistan. In India, same. In Bangladesh, same. I don't know, Bangladesh is not part of this, but still what I'm saying is that the Asian, this regional collaboration can become a Asia-wide, Euro-Asia-wide regional development hub. It should become even now we keep giving the example of ASEAN and European Union. Why not SCO? Why not SCO becomes that we one day harmonize our custom regulation. One day we harmonize our how we treat our private sector. How do we process our export and imports? So I think there's huge canvas on which a great highway can be drawn for development and for ushering in the entire Asia into the 21st century. And let's prove it. I mean, if I was there, I would say let's prove that 21st century really belongs to Asia, and let it be the slogan for this SCO meeting that we are having in Islamabad. That let's prove it.
Import and exports.
That 21st century.
Yeah, Ambassador Baluch, I'm glad that you have highlighted the importance of import and exports. We know that two members, of course, Pakistan and Iran, they are working on it related to, of course, Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline, but there are sanctions on Iran, and that is why that is still, halted. Can we say that SCO, a forum like SCO, can provide a sort of, a solution to these kind of problems which are being faced by bilateral, countries of the SCOs, and through which we can, of course, if there are differences, and if Pakistan is, of course, stepping back just because of one reason, then SCO can play its role to, of course, bring both of the parties on the table to negotiate peacefully?
And Ambassador Saab, I must confess that I'm overawed by your optimism. Your poetic license actually has reminded me that you are a dreamer. But I totally, in principle, agree that there should be connectivity, especially India and Pakistan could have also worked in tandem in so many things. But the problem seems to be that India's government doesn't call it connectivity or development till the time Adani is not given a contract. Do you think that we are ready to give that kind of contracts as well?
I'll come to your question later. Let me respond to Mr. Faisal. That's a very pertinent point. That how to use this forum creatively to circumvent these systemic limitations on regional countries to come together. In fact, I think I'm sure you would be aware that there is an arrangement within the SCO where there is a discussion going on as to how can we trade within our national currency. They call currency swap arrangements. So, the financial sector is a major agenda item in the SCO. It has been on the agenda, and I'm pretty sure this will be discussed there. And under this financial sector, the currency swaps is a mechanism. Likewise, we also have to start thinking that how to bring these countries like Pakistan away from their dependence on the Bretton Woods institutions, because it is a legacy of the Cold War, it's the legacy of the Second World War. We have to now join, for example, the infrastructure, Asian Development Bank for Infrastructure, which is now funding a lot of developed countries without any political baggage on them. So I think that will be discussed by Pakistan. So definitely these limitations, these constraints, which are put by political considerations by the Western world, needs to be discussed and should be discussed upfront. There is no shying away from these challenges that we have. Likewise, if there are positive, after all, even if we say India, not that I want to again give another occasion to Mr. Pitafi to say that I'm over optimistic, but you see what? States are rational beings. They're always rational thinking. So if really SCO is something where India can achieve its dream of becoming a major player in Asia and consequently in the globe, why would it sabotage it? Should not, actually. That is what the logic says us, and let's believe that there are still some logical people there. I would not take the Indian media so seriously. After all, there are some serious people sitting in their government echelons, and they have a responsibility to make sure that those over 200 million people under the poverty line, they come out of that. They have joblessness. Even now, there are huge problems of development which India faces. And of course, as highlighted that even the climate change affects India as much as it affects Pakistan. So let's then see where we converge. So I think if we start with the convergencies, then I think issues which are divergent can be also resolved later with what they call it requires the ointment of the time, and then let the ointment of the time work.
Absolutely, yes.
Very quick clarification, Ambassador Saab. I've never accused you of being over optimistic. I said I'm overawed by your optimism, and I thought that it was a compliment.
It is, of course. Ambassador Saab, we're also going to be talking about the very important Saudi delegation that's, of course, in Pakistan and headed by the Minister of Investment. And while, of course, we are in preparation for the SCO Summit, it's very important to engage with different countries in the bilateral engagements and in trade and investment relationships as well. And the Saudi Arabia, of course, has always been there for us in different ways, has contributed to the kind of economic crises that we have seen previously. They have supported us in that. And so now after the IMF, the Extended Fund Facility, we have, of course, focusing a lot more on these engagements as well. But I want your take in terms of how significant these developments are, particularly in the current times for Pakistan ahead of the SCO Summit as well, and the fact that it is important to bringing in more investment and business opportunities to the country, and for countries like Saudi Arabia to engage more with Pakistan.
Is it a question diverted to me? Is it?
Yes, Ambassador Saab. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think Saudi Arabia-Pakistan relations are very unique, very historical. There is this very emotional content to it. Kaaba and Haramain Sharifan and kind of Ummah, OIC. So there have been a common dreams. And if I go back even more into the history, the understanding of King Faisal, an icon in the Islamic So leadership history. And of course, we had Zulfikar Ali Bhutto that time, Shaheed. And they kind of shared a worldview where they probably visualized that how Ummah should be, what the kind of strength that Muslims have it. Let's not forget it. 1.2 billion Muslims. My God, we cannot stop this slaughter in Palestine. What has happened to us? It means we have not utilized those potentials optimally. We have not utilized them creatively. So, and I think Pakistan and Saudi Arabia continue to be kind of still we have those emotional things, but still, since we are in the practical world today, so I would rather with this prelogue would try to say that yes, Saudi Arabia under MBS is on entirely new horizon. He's taking Saudi Arabia into entirely a new era. His vision of 2030 is all progress, development, creativity, getting away from the oil and so on and so forth. Likewise, our own vision of Pakistan to be sort of a economy which is self-dependent, which is not like dependent on assistance from friends, but yes, they can invest, they can do business. So I think let's approach this visit from that point of view, that Saudi Arabia under MBS is moving towards entirely new economic model for their country. Same is the case with Pakistan, that there is a consensus, at least nationally, with us, that we have to get out of this IMF, World Bank, and so on and so forth. So the alternative is to have those friendly countries to come and invest with us, do business with us, increase further our export from here to Saudi Arabia, get some more manpower for their Vision 2030. And already there are actually a lot of opportunities, and a lot of youth have gone there to Saudi Arabia. So I think I see this as a very, very important visit in this context, that there's a new approach to Pakistan-Saudi relationship.
Right. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for joining us and being part of the debate today and discussing at length your views on, of course, the SCO and this delegation as well. And Farrukh, I want your take on the Saudi delegation as well, because the Prime Minister, of course, has emphasized that up to $2 billion of investment in a number of MOUs and agreements is expected. But of course, historically, as well as the Ambassador Sahab was pointing out, this relationship is very important to Pakistan as well. And again, as we've discussed previously with other countries, including China, what is it that you think can also be expanded even further with Saudi Arabia, and whether or not we're actually utilizing this to the true trade potential that it holds? And of course, moving forward now after the extended fund facility, what aspects of this relationship can actually contribute towards more business-friendly environment within Pakistan?
Right, Sana, thank you very much for the question. I think I will leave historical perspective to Faisal, and of course ambassadors have also covered a lot of ground. I must confess that I am really impressed with two Muslim countries, their vision. One is Saudi Arabia, and I will tell you why. The other one is UAE, particularly these two countries in the middle of war and terror. When especially, remember that when 9/11 happened, after that there was an Arab Development Report, and the questions were that why is it that they hate us so much, right? And at that time they spoke about three deficits: freedom, knowledge, and women for freedom also. So in that aspect, or women development for that matter, the way Saudi Arabia and UAE have actually extricated themselves from that straitjacket and put their countries on the path of development and growth is impressive. MBS, particularly Mohammed bin Salman, is a visionary, and Ambassador Saab spoke about his 2030 vision. And I think with that, the entire economy is going to change, its social context is going to change. Women are being allowed more liberties now. Of course, there is a traditional element to the society, but that will take some time. UAE similarly, they are mushrooming in growth, right? So Pakistan can always benefit. The biggest problem in the past has been lack of homework. For example, I keep on reminding everybody that MBS came to Pakistan when PTI's government was there, and we were summoned to Board of Investment and Commerce Ministry's briefing. And there they were telling us, PTI's time, that we are expected to find investment of 20 billion. And I said, what are the projects that they might be interested in? Answer, we don't know. Okay, what are you going to pitch to them? We don't know, right? So this time circumstances are different. Days SIFC, there has been a dialogue between the two countries repeatedly, and all the entities have been identified, although I would have been really happy if we would have seen the names of those now as well. But if you keep on working together, Sana, Pakistan, just remember that Pakistan has one of the world's largest gold deposits. Pakistan is said to have found or stumbled upon world's fourth largest deposit of oil and gas as well.
Yeah.
Similarly, our location is awesome. We have one of the tallest mountains and great, environment as well. So if we want to exploit this, sky is the limit. And cooperation between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan is of critical import. Yesterday I was talking about China as our blood brothers who have always stood by us. Similarly, I don't remember any time when the country was in dire straits and Saudi Arabia was not there for us, right? So with that kind of friendship, I hope that it doesn't, in the past, it might have been one-way traffic that we kept on receiving, and of course, there are millions of Pakistanis working for Saudi Arabia. But I hope that now the traffic is both ways, and Pakistan can also contribute to Saudi Arabia's economic growth, and
Right.
Pakistan can benefit also.
Absolutely, that is of course the hope. Thank you,
Sana,
Farrukh. Yes, Faisal.
one liner.
Yes, go ahead.
Because I want to give my contribution as well to it.
Please.
Yeah.
Make it long.
Once, because I only had 1 minute left.
Yeah,
so,
don't make it long.
once Mohammed bin Salman, His Highness Mohammed bin Salman, he had said that consider me an ambassador of Pakistan in Saudi Arabia, and time and again he has proven that, and
Yeah.
in future, of course, he will be proving it again and again.
Right, absolutely. Thank you very much, Faisal and Farrukh, for joining us and being part of the debate as always. Of course, we have big hopes from this particular visit and also from the upcoming SCO, and we'll be here to talk about it. That's all that we have from the debate. We'll now see you tomorrow.